Greetings, this is Dr. Bill Bailey, and this is the VirtZine Netcast. I'm glad you can join us for the VirtZine Netcast, and I want to mention that we are proud members of the Tech Podcast Network, techpodcast.com. If it's tech, it's right here on the VirtZine Netcast. Now, VirtZine is the online magazine of virtualization and cloud computing, and I really want to welcome you to this particular edition of VirtZine. This is the first edition since we got our new video camera and our new audio setup. So hopefully the quality of both the video and the audio are better for you. All right, so we want to get right into the VirtZine Netcast today. Let's go to our blog. By the way, I want to mention that our blog is VirtZine, VirtZine.com. And you can see it right here on the lower third of the screen. You can go there, and we're determined, let's put it that way, we're determined to get you the latest solid information on virtualization and cloud computing. Not all the fluff and puff and so forth, but what's actually going on in the cloud computing market. And so we're working on that. We're developing that, and we're getting better at it. But it's going to take us some time to get into the groove, so to speak, and get into that. So give us a little time to continue to develop the Netcast. Now, where we left off last time, we were talking about Amazon's EC2 issues, the issues they've had. Now, turns out they are not the only ones that have fallen into this problem of having problems with their cloud computing platform in terms of availability. And we've seen a lot of vendors that have had issues in the last few weeks. It seems to be one of those times where we're beginning to see some of the chinks in the armor, so to speak, of some of the cloud computing and virtualization vendors. Even VMware, and you know VMware knows what they're doing. VMware with their Cloud Foundry, which we talked about before, is a platform that allows development of virtualized applications. They had problems with availability even in their Cloud Foundry platform. So if somebody is big and as powerful and as well developed as VMware has issues, you know there are things that have to be worked out in this space. And so we're going to keep our eye on it. And I think you'll keep your eye on it, obviously, before you start committing your business to the cloud. But that time is coming. There's just too many synergies that come from virtualization and cloud computing. Now, virtualization, let me say this, virtualization is solid. I manage VMware at the company that I work for, High Point Regional Health System in High Point, North Carolina. I'm their Citrix administrator, VMware administrator. And of course, we have a great team of system administrators. All of them have been trained in VMware, and they know what they're doing as well. So, you know, kudos to them. But the thing is, we are using this for production applications. You don't get more production than a healthcare system, where you have patients that depend on the data that is being managed through those computer systems. So, when I say that we are relying on VMware, you know it has to be solid or we wouldn't be using it. But in terms of the cloud computing space, that's where there may be some opportunities and where we're looking at developments. We're way in the early stages of this. And so there will be things coming up that will help define the space and make sure that people are doing it correctly and come up with methods and tools to better manage cloud computing. So, next item I would like to mention is that VMware has bought a company called SlideRocket. SlideRocket is basically, let me read a little bit here from the article. VMware purchased email collaboration suite Zimbra earlier in the year, and they're really promoting Zimbra now. And I got to admit, I really like Zimbra. I think it's a great platform. I think it has a tremendous number of features. I just looked at a webinar this past week on Zimbra, and I am telling you, it was solid. And I would really like to, matter of fact, I'd like to explore Zimbra in a corporate environment and see how that would work out. The big, of course, thing there is what about Exchange? A lot of people are saying that. Is it truly Exchange compatible? Now that's, I'm going to get some more information on that. But at any rate, they bought Zimbra earlier in the year, and that's been going very well for them. And now they have bought this company, SlideRocket. SlideRocket basically does online presentations. It's like PowerPoint in the cloud. And so, you know, are they looking to, you know, now that they bought Zimbra for email, are they going to use this new SlideRocket technology to develop a virtual PowerPoint? Are they going to try to go, this is the question that I have, is VMware really looking to go head-to-head with Microsoft in terms of their applications? That would be an interesting development, and I think you would agree with me that that would be quite a coup if they can pull that off. Next item we have is Windows 8, talking about Microsoft. Windows 8 is going to have cloud-based profiles. Now, if you're familiar with, as I said, I'm Citrix administrator, we have to deal with profiles in Citrix all the time, and they're basically roaming profiles where the user can log on to, the idea of a roaming profile is the user can log on to different machines and get the same settings and setup and information from this one centralized profile. And that profile roams with the user from machine to machine and gathers information from each machine. And basically it's the old last right wins principle. Whatever machine you were last on, those are the settings that's going to be stored in the roaming profile. Well, now imagine taking that roaming profile and putting it into the cloud. And now wherever you are, even across the world, at a machine on the other side of the world, across the internet, now you have the same profile. That's the idea of a roaming profile in the cloud. And that's what Microsoft is shooting for Windows 8. Now, we're at Windows 7 now. We're talking Windows 8, so we're not that far off. And I think it's really that Microsoft has a tremendous commitment to cloud computing. As we've seen before, we've talked about this before, Microsoft has sunk a tremendous amount of their R&D budget into cloud computing. So they're betting the farm on it. Next item I want to talk about is Microsoft has released a new version of its Windows Thin PC. Now the idea here is Windows 7 is already much thinner. When I say thinner, it's not as bloated with all kinds of unnecessary software as more so than Windows XP. XP was kind of getting over the top in terms of the amount of junk that was in it that you had to strip out. Windows 7 is much better. What the Windows Thin PC client is about, or I should say product is about, is to develop a client that is very, very thin, optimized, thin, easy to deploy, whether you're deploying it through VMware View, Citrix Zen Desktop, whatever your choice of platform for virtual desktop infrastructure, VDI, you'll be able to use this Windows 7 version of their Thin PC. Now, it is just a release candidate. It's just been released as this new version of their release candidate, and it will be coming out in the near term, let's say, because this is a release candidate. But I have downloaded it. I have not yet tried it. I plan to do that hopefully in the next week or so, and I'll let you know how that goes. But I think it's going to be a real benefit to have this Windows Thin PC client available. So, wanted to mention too that I went to the Charlotte VMUG, which is the user group basically for Charlotte, but also they have the whole Carolinas area come to this user summit. It was an awesome day. Learned a lot of things. I'm going to be sharing a lot more about that as we go along. But here's a few brief scenes from the VMUG.
That's pretty good. I want to start one more time. On to the VMware solution and strategy, and what we see is really it's all about applications and users. So it's all about information and users. Users want more information so they can make better decisions within the business.
The very fact that you're here and the very fact that virtualization is important to you as both an IT individual.
Now that just gives you a flavor of the crowd that was there and their enthusiasm. I couldn't record the sessions. The sessions are available, the major sessions, the keynotes, and the group discussion that they had. Those are all available, and I'll try to put that link to that in the show notes so that you'll be able to go to that website and check that out. But the very best thing you can do is go to these meetings. If you have any in your area, you can go to the VMware site, do a search for user groups, and find the local user groups in your area. I know there are people listening to this all over the world, and so I encourage you to check out your local user group, because that user community can be a tremendous support point for you in your business as you get into virtualization and cloud computing. So that's all the time we have for this particular edition of VirtZine. Join us again next time. Remember, until then, to keep your head in the cloud.